Zoodiac. You know, we got Dryden back a few months ago, and ever since then, the deck has found ways to somehow keep up with the metagame full of Dragon, Link, Infernoble, and Dinosaur with the help of Dogmatica. But arguably after Phantom Rage, Zoodiac will be the best it's ever been, ignoring its tier 0 dominance, as one, we're getting Tribrigade, and second, we're getting Negalogia AA-Zeus. With all this in mind, today we're going to examine Zoodiac as of right now in the TCG at least, and figure out whether or not this deck can actually keep up with the metagame and actually be meta. Before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content and want to see more of it, and also make sure to hit that notification bell if you do enjoy it. That way you'll know exactly when a new video comes out. With that, let's begin. So first, let's talk about, I say this like every video at this point, but it's a one-card engine, and say it with me now, one-card engines are better than more-card engines. Alright, now that we got that basic line out of the way, we can talk about why Zoodiac as a one-card engine is really good. So essentially, it's very consistent because you can basically summon any Zoodiac monster, then overlay it constantly into a Dryden, and that's about it. If you draw a rat, you can send a Zoodiac monster and then keep overlaying, which will also enable Chakanine to be used, or you can draw a Thoroughblade to pitch another Zoodiac monster, preferably a Ram, and then use Chakanine abuse from there. So essentially the deck has become to the point where it's a consistent one-card engine that ends on Dryden and whatever else you really can. And while it doesn't sound like that much, especially when we consider how much Dragon Link can do with one card, it actually is enough because, see, your engine is so small, you're able to fit a ton of control pieces into the deck, whereas a deck like Dragon Link can only fit hand traps into the deck. You're able to tech your Zoodiac deck with arguably more hand traps and a ton of other generic powerhouse cards in order to keep up with the metagame. This is how other control decks of the past would be able to keep up with combo as well. Take for instance Sky Striker. As a pure deck, it did a lot with Engage, but it needed other cards in order to keep up, and that's why you were able to use cards like Tikaboo and 9 to 12 hand traps in order to stop whatever metagame was available at that time. Now, here's the one thing I will say about Zoodiac as a one-card engine. Even just comparing Zoodiac to Sky Striker as of right now, Zoodiac did significantly less with one card comparatively to Striker, and Striker had one of the best cards ever printed in its archetype being Engage. Now, don't get me wrong, Zoodiac is still consistent, but they needed something more, another oomph, in order to really go beyond the regular status of another rogue deck, I guess. And that card came in the form of Phantom Rage with Negalogia AA-Zeus. This Xyz monster is crazy. It is essentially the new Exciton Knight for the 2020 era of Yu-Gi-Oh! Essentially, if an Xyz monster battled this turn, you're able to overlay an AA-Zeus on top of any Xyz monster, and then that AA-Zeus will be able to detach 2 materials and nuke the entire field. It makes any Xyz monster that much better because any Xyz monster will have its own effects and will also now become an AA-Zeus. So in general, you can tell this effect is already crazy. We cannot ignore the fact this is a Black Rose that sends and is so easy to make. But then we also have to keep in mind in a deck like Zoodiac, not only is a one-card engine in order to summon your Zoodiac monsters, but you can also keep stacking monsters on top of one another. Which means if you summon a Rapier and then you go into monsters on top of each other, and then you eventually have 5 materials under a Borbo, that Borbo can attack directly, and then you're able to overlay into a Zeus. This Zeus is now going to have like 6 materials, and it can keep using its effect because it's not a hard once per turn. And you've done all of this without activating a single card effect. That is absolutely mind-boggling, and that is arguably why Zoodiac is the best Negalogia AA-Zeus deck. However, I hate to say it, but I don't think the pure variant will be meta. I think comparing pure to other variants of Zoodiac, the other variants just have a higher ceiling, and especially right now, you need a higher ceiling in order to compete. Also, you arguably have more resiliency if you play alternative engines. And there are 2 specific engines that have come out in recent memory that merge really well with Zoo that I'm about to discuss. But before we get into that, make sure to check out Imperium Duelist. I'll have a link in the description, but they produce some of the highest quality playmats on the market. As you see right now, here is a Dragon Ball Super playmat of Goku and Jiren. Gosh darn, this thing is sexy. And if you want one for yourself, along with any other dope design that they have, like a Toon playmat, which is also super dope, make sure to check out Imperium Duelist. Use the code BladeYGO10 at checkout for 10% off, and that code, by using it, will also help me in the process. But with that, let's continue. So like I was saying, there are two engines that merge really well with Zoodiac. One of them is Tribrigade. Tribrigade is a new archetype coming out in Phantom Rage, and this archetype is really freaking good. The reason why is because essentially it's a very consistent engine that merges really well because you can fetch the cards off of Tanky that access the Tribrigade engine. They also have a special summon from deck card that enables you to get access to your Tribrigades by special summoning them and then searching for others. Eventually you're going to make their link 2 to special a Tribrigade from hand, and then that Tribrigade has a Miracle Fusion like effect that can special summon any Beast Warrior, Beast, or Winged Beast link monster from your extra deck. And so this essentially means you can summon an Ancient Warrior link that will basically Hieratic Seal on your opponent's turn. You can summon some Mord, Bird of the Heavens, and then just summon a Winged Beast Barrier Statue from your deck, which is really strong. You can summon other cards that gain you resources. You can summon their link 4 that will banish a card. Essentially, Tribrigade meshes really well with Zoo, and Negalogia meshes really well with Zoo. And so these two new cards and themes from Phantom Rage buff Zoodiac in an immense way. But then we also need to talk about the pre-existing current status quo version of Zoo, and that's the Dogmatica variant. I still think Dogmatica is a really potent engine in this deck, and Negalogia AA-Zeus just makes it that much better. The real question is, are you wanting to play Dogmatica in the deck, especially with Tribrigade coming out? I'm not entirely sure. Personally, I think Tribrigade is really strong. It may be me saying this due to a bias because it's new, but I think Tribrigade will be the way to go, especially because it gives you some like incredible stun factor by summoning a barrier statue from your deck stupid easily. But I still think Dogmatica is really good, and I could see an argument for either engine or even both engines being played in the deck. So in conclusion, I'd actually argue Zoo is looking really promising after Phantom Rage, to the point where I'd say they're better than Dogmatica Invoked. Sure, Dogmatica Invoked is a proven deck right now. I think the power of Negalogia AA-Zeus is just too much to ignore, and so yeah, I think Zoodiac will have a better going second and a better going first, but I wouldn't call them a top tier threat just yet, similarly to Dogmatica Invoked, until the next ban list. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like and subscribe like I said at the beginning if you enjoyed this video, and with that, I hope to see you soon.